Alright, so we'll do the hazards stuff first. Alright, so because we're at a computer desk, be wary of the cables under your feet, especially the power cables. You don't want to accidentally kick them.
Yep.
You've got a panel missing on your desktop tower, which is fine. Just be careful because there's obviously more exposed wires and stuff like that. And in general, you want to keep your posture as good as you can. Get up, go for walks, that sort of thing. You don't want to sit down for 3-4 hours.
Yeah.
Go, etc., etc. Yeah, you understand all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So this is what I'm going to be teaching. I'm going to be teaching you how to use Unity's nav mesh. You've got a little player here who've got a maze, and you just click, and he'll walk through the maze all by himself. Pretty straightforward. I'll show you this as well. It's actually, you can visually see where things are allowed to walk and where they're not allowed to.
Yeah.
You can change these values as well with the humanoid stuff, which I'll show you, but basically you can set up, we've got a humanoid. We're not going to do this part, so I'll show you this now, but if you wanted something else, like, say we want a giant, right? We go, alright, well the giant's probably, a bit fatter, super tall, and he can take really big steps. We can actually come into our nav mesh here, and this nav mesh is set up for a humanoid.
Right.
We can change it to the giant, and then we rebake it. He can barely walk anywhere because he's too big to fit through this gap. So it physically doesn't let him. You can do stuff like layering nav meshes. So for each of your races, they would have their own nav mesh, and it's the same terrain, and it doesn't actually take very much like computational power to maintain all these nav meshes. That's why we have the actual nav mesh surface. It's to handle all that.
Okay.
And it's just a rebake and it's done. And these sorts of things, you've got the step height. That's obviously, if there's like a staircase, it will automatically handle that for you. You've got their height, so it will detect whether or not they can walk through a doorway. Does that automatically for you. Their radius is obviously a gap.
Yeah.
Can they fit through it? And then this degrees is actually the slope that they can walk up on their own. Yeah, that's pretty much the nav mesh. So I've given you this level.
Yep.
So if you want to chuck that into your project. Yeah, just drag that straight in. Alright, yours will be in black and white, whereas mine is coloured. So if you just click on level.
Click on level.
Yeah, and go to materials at the top right.
Yeah.
And change the import by material description. Change that to standard. And just hit apply. Yeah, now you can apply your own texture to it. So drag it into the level.
Just anywhere?
Yeah, drag it in. Yeah, and then set it to your 000 because it hurts me as much as it hurts you when it's not at 000. Just go back into your project and right click. Go to create at the top. And then about halfway down will be material. Up to, yep. And just name that red or blue, whichever one you want to do first. Yep, and then pre-standard, just click the color, set that to red.
It might be a bit harsh. I'll put a lighter red.
Yep, whatever you want. It's just for aesthetics. And just drag that onto the walls.
The walls?
Yeah, and that will apply to all the walls.
Okay, so it flips and switches. Alright, cool.
Yeah. And then do the same again.
Create. Material.
I've done blue, you can do whatever.
I'll make it blue as well, just so.
Yeah, makes it easier to see if there's something different.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine. Then drag it.
Onto the floor. That easy. Alright, so first thing you need to do to get the nav mesh working, we need to actually import the package.
Okay.
It's not built into Unity by default, so we need to go to Window at the top and then Package Manager. way down. Yep. Okay, so see the little plus at the top right, top left, sorry.
Yep.
Yep. Click on that, and go import package by name.
By name.
Yep. And that's what I've given you before we started.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll
Yep.
just
So
copy
copy
that.
that.
Do that again by name.
Yep. Paste.
Paste.
Add.
And it's installing. Alright.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's really small. Yeah, it's like 5 meg.
Yeah.
It takes longer to install it than to download it. And then once that's done, we'll actually have access to all of the nav mesh components. So we're just going to be doing code as part of this tutorial, which I haven't shown yet, but I'll open that up. It's very straightforward. It's just click and give that location to the player. Yep, that's done. It's already implemented. It's got the little tick on the right hand side.
Yeah.
That means it's actually active in the package and in the project and installed.
Okay.
Yeah, the entire code we're going to do is like 25 lines, including all the random gibberish that you don't like write yourself.
Yeah.
All right, so where's my Unity areas? Let me close this one so I don't get confused. All right, we need to make our actual nav mesh. So right click in the hierarchy and create empty and name it nav mesh. Yep. On our nav mesh, just hit add component and you want to type nav mesh. Yep, and you've got all those different nav mesh components. We want a surface because this will be our actual where you're allowed to walk.
Okay.
So click on that.
Alright.
Yep. So if you hit bake right now, it's got it. It's on the blue part. It's also on the walls.
Yeah. I see.
We don't want that. We don't want to be able to walk on our walls.
Mm-hmm.
So drop down the level and you'll see the ground and walls are actually separate.
Yep.
Jump onto the walls and you want to add a nav mesh modifier. So this you add to objects that will modify the nav mesh in a certain way. There are a few ways you can tell it to alter it, but for us it's just going to be non-walkable because you can't walk on them.
Okay.
So add the nav mesh modifier component.
So add component.
Yep, and then modifier.
Just a modifier?
Yep. So there's several options. You've got ignore from build, which will actually we can try it. Tick ignore from build, and go back to your nav mesh, and hit bake again. That's being ignored completely.
Yeah.
You would use that for, think of something like Assassin's Creed, where there's like debris on the ground, but you can just walk over it.
Yeah.
So you do it for stuff like that, like
Okay.
objects that exist and they might have colliders and etc., but they don't affect where you can walk. So let's turn that off for now because we do want to interact with it and hit override area.
Override.
Yep, and we want to change the area type to not walkable.
So walkable, not walkable.
Yeah. There's also jump, which is what the step height is for.
Okay, right.
So you would set that on a staircase, or even if you had I think like a goblin or something like that could jump really high and is allowed to walk on those walls. So you would set it to jump, and he needs a jump height high enough to get on there, and then he can walk on there just fine.
Okay.
But for our purposes, not walkable.
Not walkable. Right.
Yep. And now go to our nav mesh and hit bake again. And now that's all set up.
Yep.
Now we need a player. So just right click in the hierarchy, create 3D object, and make him a cylinder.
Cylinder. There we are.
Yep. He's already at 000, which is wonderful. We love that. So on our player, we need a nav mesh agent. So an agent is what interacts with the nav mesh directly. At the top, just there. Yep. And it's got a heap of values like the speed. Angular speed is the speed he rotates at.
Okay.
Acceleration is how quickly he speeds up. Stopping distance is if you give him a point of 111, at the moment with a stopping distance of 0, he will stop at 111. But you might want him to just go to that general area, so you can set the stopping distance to like 0.5, and he'll kind of start slowing down when he hits 0.5 away.
Ah, okay.
Auto braking as well is basically if they're heading towards a wall and need to turn, they'll slow down rather than just like it makes it look more realistic, but you don't always want that, obviously. And the obstacle avoidance is how close they get to obstacles, and the height is the height of our player, and then the quality is just how I mean it's the quality, isn't it? So it's how much computation power you actually want to assign to making sure this is correct.
Okay.
And priority is basically when physics goes through from top to bottom of the list of all the physics-based objects. It goes down a list of priority-based. So if you want the player to be super high priority, and if something hits him, then think of it like in a game, if you phase into a wall and then you'll like bug out and shake around a heap. If you're really high in the priority stack, you'll just get pushed out.
Oh, okay.
Which is why that shaking thing would normally happen with NPCs and players, because they both tend to be moving and they both tend to have a similar priority. So the engine is struggling to determine who's in the right, basically.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
And then the pathfinding stuff is the built-in pathfinding for use on the nav mesh.
So that's the one that I click on the level. Oh. Ah, yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's that. Exactly. Cool. Alright, we have our player now, but we have nothing to tell him what to do yet. We've got to make a script, basically.
Okay.
So right-click down in your assets in the project, and create at the top, and C# script is second from the top. And just call that player controller. Yep, and hit enter again. Alright, and rather than just going top to bottom, I'm going to basically explain it in the way you would do it. So it makes more sense rather than just, you might as well just Control C, Control V if I do top to bottom, because that's not how you write code.
Yeah.
Also delete that one. I had an issue because I was silly. So I had to put, I was putting debug things and going, why are you not working? Alright, so, first of all, get rid of start. We're not doing anything in start. It just gets generated automatically. So you can just delete that.
So this part?
Yep, and the two curly brackets.
Do I also get rid of the line as well, or do I just keep it there? Or do I just
No, get rid of it for aesthetic purposes.
Yeah.
Get rid of the two curly brackets as well, and the comment. The start is called before blah blah blah. So just all of that. Get rid of that. Yep, don't need it. Yep, perfect. Alright, jump into update. So inside the curly brackets. No, the curly brackets. So the next one's down.
These ones? Okay.
Yeah. So you've got the update, and then this basically is the parameters of the function. So if you want your function to take in a integer to use in the function, that's where that sort of thing goes. Okay. All the code always goes in between the curly brackets.
So these two basically.
Yeah.
Alright, cool.
And they basically denote everything of that function, and then the next function, like if we had those denote everything that happens in this function. And then if I wanted to do things in here, I can then go hat like that, and when every frame, hat will now be called, and it'll be, actually I can show you, I just print a gibberish, hit save, and now if I jump in here, as soon as I see it says it's got one reference,
if
I hit play, it will, every frame will spam that. Because update happens every single frame. This happens, and the first thing it does is it goes call this function, and this function prints that to the console.
Yeah. Okay.
And it'll yell at you if the function doesn't exist. So
you
you know
deleted it, just
yeah. So you know if you've spelt it wrong, which is the primary way that things yell at you is because you spelled something wrong. So we need to first detect when the player clicks the left mouse button, because that's how we're going to tell the player where to go. So we do that by doing an if statement. I'll just highlight the bit that we're doing. So if, and then open bracket.
Open bracket.
Yep. We're doing input, capital I.
Capital I.
Yep. Dot.
Dot.
Get mouse button down.
Get mouse button down. One word?
One word, but all caps on the letters. Yeah, you know which one I mean. Yeah, because this is a function, and generally your functions have capital letters.
Okay.
Because it makes it easier to tell variables and functions apart. As a general rule, your variables will never start with a capital letter.
Variables, not capital letters.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I could name this rather than cam. I could have named it camera, like that, and that is different to this.
Oh, because this
is
capital.
This is the actual camera. This is my reference to the camera.
Oh, okay.
So we'll get rid of that. So open brackets again, and the way that code handles the mouse is that this is 0, this is 1, and pushing that in is 2. So we want left mouse, so that's 0.
Okay.
And then close the two brackets. They're already there, but you can just type over them.
Oh, yeah.
And then hit enter. And you want to do curly brackets again.
Curly brackets again. So these are the curly, no?
Okay.
Those are the curly brackets.
Yeah. And then if you hit enter, it'll like format it for you.
Ah, yeah.
Because some things in Visual Studio are helpful, others are very not. Alright, so we need to basically translate from our mouse position on screen to a position in the game world.
Right.
So to do that, we need a reference to our camera, which is what I was looking at before up here. So all of your variables always go outside of all functions, unless you're only using it in that function.
So outside of void, basically.
Yeah.
Alright.
So, and generally your variables are always done at the top. You can put them anywhere as long as they're not in a function, but you put them all at the top, that way they're easier to find for anyone who's looking at your code.
Okay.
So we do public because we want to be able to access it from Unity.
Ah, okay.
Space, and then camera with a capital C because it's a camera.
So is this calling the camera name or is it calling the camera object?
So this is denouncing, it's basically letting the code know that this is a camera.
Ah, okay.
And the camera will be call it cam, so CAM, and then semicolon. Always have a semicolon at the end of every line that isn't a function.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically that camera lets us know that cam is a camera. Okay. And that when we reference cam in code, it has access to everything that a camera has access to.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because not everything can access everything,
yeah.
Otherwise no one would ever get anything done.
Right, right.
So, jump into back into our if statement. Yep. So inside the curly brackets.
Yep.
Yep. We're going to raycast. So capital R ray, and we'll name it ray as well, but lowercase.
Lowercase.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. So hit space and this, and then equals. And then highlight the line so you can glance at it if you need to. Cam.
Cam for camera.
Yeah. So this is our reference to the camera.
Yeah.
Dot, and camera has a built-in function called screen point to ray.
Screen point to ray. Oh, not they. That's ray.
Yep. And then open bracket because this is a function.
Yep.
Input dot mouse position. So lowercase m because it's a variable, capital P because it's just how it's written.
Right, okay.
New words tend to always have a capital, but the first word of a variable will always be lowercase.
Yeah, okay.
So close that bracket and semicolon because that line's finished.
Close that bracket, semicolon.
Yep, and it formats it for you, so
Yes,
it's
yeah.
nice and easy to read.
Cool.
Now we need somewhere to store the information of whatever we hit, which is a raycast hit. Capital H.
Capital H.
Yep. Raycast is one word. You've hit U instead of Y though.
Oh, right.
Yep. And just name it hit. Lowercase. Yep. Semicolon. Alright. Before we do this line, because we're using the set destination, which is a part of the navmesh agent, so we need our navmesh agent first.
Alright.
So jump back up to camera at the top. We're doing a new variable. And it's public again because we want to access it from Unity.
Yep.
It's a navmesh agent, capital N.
So navmesh agent is spelled like that in the navmesh component?
Yeah.
Alright.
And name it agent. It will yell at you. It would, but you're missing syntax. So that's fine. It takes ages to set it up properly.
Right.
So we need to add this line first because regular Unity doesn't know what a navmesh agent is.
Okay.
So we need to add the thing we added before is that we did through the project manager. We're basically including that in this script.
Okay.
So using unityengine.ai.
Engine.ai.
Yeah, capital AI.
Capital
Is it-
AI.
yeah.
Alright.
Yep, and now the navmesh agent will work. Basically what I meant by the syntax is see how yours is still white and mine's the green blue color.
Yeah.
Basically that's all it is. It just colors things in and it knows if things don't exist, that sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
But you have to like go through a lengthy process of linking your Visual Studio to Unity. You have to sign into Visual Studio. It's a whole process.
Right.
And for our 25 lines of code, it's not really necessary. So now we're doing this bit. So jump to a couple lines down. Yep. So we're going to check the basically physics.raycast it's a true or false as to did this hit anything. So if you click off into like if I click here, it'll come back false. So our nav agent won't try to move to nothing.
Oh, okay. Well, it's got some form of detection in it. So
Yeah, the raycast will just infinitely search, but the raycast hit stores the information of the thing you hit. And we can check if that's null, which means there's no information in there, we know we didn't hit anything.
Yeah.
So then we know not to set our destination, so we don't bother.
Alright.
So we do another if statement. Yep, open bracket, physics dot raycast.
Raycast.
Yep.
So
Raycast, one word.
Is it referring to the raycast?
No, so this raycast is actually a function.
Oh, that's the function. Okay.
Yeah. It's a function from the built-in physics engine.
Right. Okay.
So open bracket, and we put our ray in there, which is just ray.
Yep.
And then, so we want to then output the information from the ray into hit. So we put out, which basically out is it's not a function, it's a way in code to just say take this and put it here, where
Okay.
possible.
So it's just a case of changing the raycast, the initial raycast to the value of hit basically. But I could change this from hit to swap and it will change it to swap.
Basically. So when we do our get mouse button down, when we click, our ray shoots out and goes, did I hit anything? But it doesn't do anything with that information. It just goes, I hit this, but who cares, right?
Yeah.
And then we use physics.raycast to take that ray with all the information and put the thing we hit into the raycast hit, which lets us actually access the thing that we hit.
Right. Cool.
So we want curly brackets around our if, or coming out of our if statement.
So just here.
Yep. And hit enter. Cool, it formats it for you.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're using the set destination. So we want to grab our agent and dot set destination, which is a function, so capitals.
Look.
EST.
What's that? Destination. Oh.
Yeah. There you
That's what I was looking at, yeah.
go. Because it's a function, it's got the brackets and then hit dot point.
Point.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, and then close their bracket and semicolon. Delete that second.
Delete the second.
Yeah. And Control S, save, we're done. That's all the code.
Awesome.
So let's jump back into Unity.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a couple of things we need to do. So, first of all, you can't, with the raycast, it only detects colliders. It'll pass through everything else.
Right.
So our ground needs a box collider on it, so that we can actually detect when we've clicked on the ground.
Oh, okay.
So make sure you grab the ground, not the level.
To the ground.
Yep. And add component, and just type box. There it is.
Box
Yep. And it'll automatically size to the thing, so you don't have to
yeah.
change anything else. So now we can actually click on it. We need to click on the cylinder. Just scroll down in the inspector, and drag the player controller to where it says add component.
Oh,
Okay.
cool.
Now we want to grab our main camera from the main scene.
The main, yep.
Yep, and drag that onto cam.
Cam for the camera, right?
Yep. And then grab our nav mesh agent and drag that onto agent.
So this one?
Yep. Just drag straight from there. Exactly.
Mm.
I think that's everything. Yeah, give it a try. See what happens. Oh, use it. We need to move that camera.
Okay.
That's just positioning the camera. So unplay, because any changes you make while in play mode don't count and aren't real. Just to make it easier, I've got my.
Have you got your camera selected? Yeah.
Yeah. So grab your camera. Minus 27. Just to set it up the same way. Put it to 0, 25, minus 27. And then it has a X rotation of 23. 43, sorry. There you go. And whenever you have camera selected, it'll have a little preview.
Yeah.
So you can do this sort of thing a bit easier. Hit play, and we'll give that a try now. And click anywhere on the blue, and it should.
Oh, that's cool. So applications for this could be used for NPC movement and just patrolling, basically?
Exactly right. So your NPCs would basically do exactly this, but without the click.
Yeah.
The NPC would basically have a radius around him, and he'll pick a point at random and then walk there. And when he gets there, he'll pick a new point. Some games will have like predetermined things for them to do. Like a guard, for example, is just going to patrol back and forth, but if you stand in their way, they'll walk around.
Yeah.
And then others, like what I just said, the pick a random point, walk there, pick another random point. That's how you end up with NPCs that are not easy to find because they're in proper random locations.
Yeah.
So generally, they will have a nav mesh that's basically confined to a certain area for you to find them in, like a building or the town, for example, so that if you're in like an open world, they don't just wander off over the hills and die.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I think we got time. We'll add another one, and I'll teach you about links.
Alright, cool.
So I'll show you that. I'll show you the example really quick because it's pretty straightforward. Basically, we now have 2, but there's a gap. So let me turn this off for now, and I'll show you. You can't just walk from one to the other. One second, grab this. That's why the camera's positioned up there, so that I could add this later. But if you click down here, he'll still move, but he'll get as close as he can. He can't actually transition over this.
Yeah, I see that. It just keeps
very
stops there. Yeah.
So you can add links, which I've added one. It's already set up where it goes from here to over here. Let's move that actually, just so I can show you how it moves. Which one's that? It's that one. So let's move this down to there, and then he'll go from there and he'll jump up to there.
Okay.
Right? And just from doing that, I didn't have to rebake it or anything like that. I just added the link.
Yeah.
I can now click here. I should have sped him up. But he'll walk all the way down to here.
And he'll go straight to that
and
point.
He'll jump over. And it actually looks like a jump. Like he speeds up a bit. You can set that speed and stuff. Also, as part of the link, so you can have agent types. So for example, you could set this, you could have this gap here as a river and maybe a Murloc, for example, can cross the river, but a goblin can't.
Yeah.
So you can say Murlocs are allowed to. You can also make it omnidirectional or bidirectional, which will basically, you can cross it but you can't come back.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
Which can be done for
collapsing bridges.
Collapsing bridges, or think of it if this level was up here, you can travel from there down to there, but not back up.
Right. Yeah.
So I'll show you how to implement that. It's really straightforward.
Okay.
Grab our level.
Yep.
And just copy and paste it. Literally Control C, Control V.
Okay. Control C, Control V.
Yep. And drag it over to not be in the same spot.
Yes. Got it. Cool.
Cool. Now grab the nav mesh and hit bake, because we currently only have the one, so you need to rebake it.
Oh, no, rebakes both. Okay.
It does everything.
Yeah.
Now we need a link, so create a new game object.
Create empty.
Yep. And just name it, you can name it anything, but name it link, so we know what we're looking for. And go to add component, and add a nav mesh link.
Nav mesh link, there you are.
There you go. And you just literally need to zoom in on the scene and position those 2 points wherever you want them to be.
So, can I can click and drag?
Yeah.
Cool. So, if, click on link, bring that up. Okay. So, if I have them pointing here, instead of him coming here or here, can I have him like land there?
100%. And he'll jump over walls. You can see that arc?
Yeah.
It'll follow the arc.
Cool. I could make trampoline jumps and that.
Exactly. That's, well, it's probably not, because Halo is crazy. But that's how you could do like a grab jump thing in Halo.
Yeah. So, okay. Let's zero that out. Oh, that's 0. Okay. You just move them again. There we go.
Yeah.
So if I put it here and I tell the character to go here, he'll
walk
move to
over
that
there.
location.
Exactly right. He'll go to the link because he knows he can't cross that gap. So he'll either go as close as he can to getting there if he physically can't do it, or he'll go find the nearest link.
Right. Cool.
So give it a try. Chuck one of the things right down in the corner.
So I'll just put this like here.
Yeah, and chuck the other one somewhere. Yeah, like up there.
I'll put it here just to.
Yeah, make him like walk in deliberately in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So you can really tell that it's working. Oh, you'll have to move the camera. Oh, no, that's fine.
That should work.
Yeah.
So I just have to click here. So if I move here, so here.
Yeah.
Move there, but if I get him to move there, He'll instantly know exactly
Yeah,
what it costs.
he knows exactly how to get there.
Then he'll just jump. Close enough.
You can change that sort of thing in
Yeah.
the behaviors of the nav link. You can also, I'll just show you quickly.
So with the raycast,
yeah,
if the nav is here, and let's say I move this here for symmetrical reasons, and if I ask the raycast, oh, it'll still travel there.
you have to rebake the mesh.
Okay. So let me just do that. Let me put my round number. Now, nav mesh, bake. There
Exactly
we go.
right.
And now link. I just need to change the link from here to here.
Yeah. One other thing you can do as well. Click back on the link. You've got this variable width. If you grab the word, you can actually like change it by just dragging left and right. And that
cool.
basically is like a bridge. So he'll travel anywhere over that to get there.
Cool. Yeah.
There's heaps of applications for this sort of thing. Stuff like the jump height and stuff like that, I believe is actually his built-in the step height. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. So yours is at 0.75. So yep. If you go open agent settings, so hit the agent type where it says humanoid. And go open agent settings. That will automatically open that for you.
Yep.
So if you change his step height, just make it something like 5, so it's very obvious it's different. And hit play. I'm wondering if that's the, how high he was off the ground.
So if I click here, he should jump really high.
That's fine. It'll be a variable that you access through code in order to set the height and arcing and that sort of thing.
No.
I've just never checked it before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any other questions, or you can also have 10 links that are all in different locations.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh,
you can have as many as you want going wherever, and he'll just take the closest path.
And I just have to duplicate them.
Literally copy paste. As long as the 2 points are touching 2 nav mesh points, it doesn't care.
Ooh. They can create multiple. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So that's the first part. That's the second. That's cool.
And it updates the pathing of the agent automatically.
Yeah. I don't have to bake it every time.
No.
Only when I have to.
Only when you move the thing that's actually part of the nav mesh, you have to rebake it.
Yeah.
You can also bake through code. So you can basically check, did anything move since the last time I played? And if yes, rebake the nav mesh. But that's obviously, it's pretty computational heavy to do at the point of hitting play or starting your game, whatever. So where possible, it's best to already have it done. But there are obviously situations where you might have a cutscene that changes the terrain, so you need to rebake the nav mesh.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, just the applications for it and the things you can use it for, and just the fact that I have, very little programming experience, and now I can just set this up on myself, or I can just reuse this.
Exactly. You can just grab that script and put it wherever, and it would work.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. No other questions or anything like that?
No.
No.
Awesome.
Awesome. I'll get you to fill out a feedback form. I'll have to grab that. Let me pause this.